Halloween is supposed to be about candy, costumes, and fun. But one Halloween, my friends and I had an encounter that still makes my stomach drop to this day. I was out trick-or-treating with my two friends. For their privacy, I'll just call them K and B. Like a lot of kids, we decided to head to the rich neighbourhood because everyone said they gave out the best candy. We were laughing, joking, and not thinking about anything other than filling our bags, until a truck full of men drove past us. There were about 5 or 6 of them in the back. They yelled something we couldn't make out. We thought they were drunk, and we just brushed it off. But then, the truck stopped. Maybe 20 feet ahead of us. We froze. K, B, and I just stood there, waiting to see what they were doing. That's when one of the men jumped out of the truck bed. He leaned back inside and pulled something out. It was a chainsaw. Without hesitation, he revved it up and started sprinting full speed at us. My heart dropped. The sound of that chainsaw was deafening. Kay and I ran as fast as we could down a side street, hoping to lose him. B bolted in the opposite direction. For a few minutes, we could still hear the chainsaw echoing behind us. Finally, the sound faded. Kay and I collapsed behind a friend's house, shaking and trying to catch our breath. But then reality hit us. Where was B? We called his phone over and over. No answer. We wandered the neighbourhood for what felt like forever, probably half an hour, our fear getting worse with every minute. Finally, we saw him. He was pale, shaken, but alive. To this day, none of us really know what those men were planning, but that Halloween night was the most terrifying experience of my life. Every year when Halloween comes around, I can't help but think of the sound of the chainsaw and how close things might have come to ending very differently.
Some houses keep secrets. Some keep them for decades. This is the story of one house and a night that changed everything. This happened back in the early 1980s. Though I was just a baby at the time, my parents lived next door to a family with 2 kids. The kind of neighborhood everyone knew each other by sight. The kids would sometimes come over in the middle of the night when their parents were shouting. My parents would let them stay so they could feel safe. From what I was told later, the man in that house was cruel, abusive to his wife and kids. It was something everyone whispered about but never wanted to get involved. On one Halloween night, the mother sent the children to their grandparents' house. She waited until her husband fell asleep and then she attacked him. She stabbed him repeatedly, enough to make sure he wouldn't get up again. The neighbors called the police and the trial followed. My mother ended up testifying in court on the woman's behalf. She was convicted but didn't serve much time. Years later, about 25 years after the murder, I was talking with the people who lived in that house now. They asked if anything strange had ever happened there. When I told them about the murder, they went quiet. They told me they had the house blessed when they moved in because of violent and unsettling activity that wouldn't stop. Hearing that sent a chill through me. I can't help but wonder if whatever happened that night left something behind. Something that wasn't ready to move on. Some houses remember the worst things done inside them. If you ever find yourself passing that house on Halloween, you might understand why the new owners felt the need to have it blessed. This story is 100% true, even though most people I've told don't believe me. When I was little, my parents would sometimes let me stay up on weekends to watch TV until I fell asleep. Those were some of my favourite times. I would stay up later than everyone else in the house just because I could. But one night, everything changed. I was drifting off when I heard a sound outside our front porch. It was the sound of our old-fashioned porch swing, slowly moving back and forth. Curious and scared, I crept toward the bay window and peeked outside. Sitting there on the swing was an older woman, probably in her 50s, wearing nothing but a nightgown, covered in blood, holding a huge kitchen knife. I flipped out, screaming and running into my parents' room. I was just crying and pointing at the door. My dad, thinking I was imagining things, grabbed my arm and dragged me to the front door to prove nothing was there. I kicked and screamed, but he kept pulling me. Finally, he unlocked the door, swung it open and said, "See, there's nothing." To this day, I have never seen the look of fear on his face like that when the woman turned and stared at both of us, slowly standing up with the knife. My dad slammed the door, shouted at my mum to call the police while he grabbed his gun. He returned to the door with a 12 gauge, cracking it just enough to stick the barrel out. He asked what she was doing. She replied,
"Somebody killed my husband, but it wasn't me."
My dad told her the police were on their way. She freaked out, grabbed the knife and walked away. 15 minutes later, the police found her trying to break into a neighbor's house. I never slept in the living room again. Oh, and after she left, my dad called my crazy uncle next door who was waiting on his porch with a shotgun. When she walked by him, he pointed his gun at her and just said, "Keep moving, bitch."